What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Scoop. Glad to be here, man. Buckeyes rolling along. Got a lot of good news here recently, kind of negating some Ohio State fans that thought the world was ending. We're going to dive into that tonight. Got a big time wide receiver pickup as well. Got some coaching things to talk about. Are coaches leaving? Are coaches staying? That's the question everybody wants to know. What's Ryan Day going to do with the offensive coordinator position? We're going to dive into that a little bit. We're also going to talk about just the overall landscape of college football and how some teams are operating by different rules than other teams. Going to dive into that tonight. But before we do that, chat, you guys know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Great night for super chats, man. Friday night. So get them super chats rolling. We'll get them answered at the end of the show. Those go to help our veterans that help us out every single day. If you're not on the Spreaker app as well, download that. Scoop Streams on there as well. Apple Podcasts, same thing. Like and subscribe on that. Chat, appreciate you guys for joining. If you're not in the chat, like I say every single time, you got to get in there. It's a wild time, guys. We're going to give you an update as well as where the Buckeyes sit on acquiring talent. Because that was the big question at the beginning of all this portal stuff. We've seen 32 players leave. Everybody talking about the Buckeyes have to change their strategy up. That was the big question. Well, where do they sit now? And what changes have they made? But I got to have help talking about all this stuff. You guys are going to be excited. Who's joining me tonight? He's supposed to be with me last night, but he said he got hungry, had to eat a steak. Nevada, what's up, brother?
Oh man, I'm excited to be here with you, Dev. It's always fun to visit with you, and what a week for Ohio State football. It seems like every few hours something's different and popping, and it seems like when all the dust has settled, Ohio State. I mean, when you look at the list of guys that Ohio State has signed in the transfer portal, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's a pretty crazy accumulation of talent. They seem to have filled most all of their needs, and I'm excited about 2026. And I think Ohio State's done a heck of a job. And I wouldn't say that if they didn't. We never thought it was going to be bad, but frankly, I think it's even turned out maybe even better than most people would have thought. And I'm super pleased with where we ended up. And this LSU wide receiver was I won't say the cherry on top of the sundae, but it was certainly a good way to get towards those last bites on the portal. So very excited about what's going on, and it's been a great week.
Yeah, I got an interesting stat for you. Took me quite some time to figure this one out. I could be off by a little bit, but the average age of all the players that left the Buckeyes in the portal, 20 and a half years old, the average age of all the players the Buckeyes brought in was almost 22 years old. So they gained about a year and a half of experience from all the players that they brought in compared to who left. But yes, it's a very interesting time. Buckeyes have had some big time pickups. I did a show last night, and since then, two other big additions to this. We're going to go over three of them tonight that I want to dive into. The first one, the LSU wide receiver, Kyle Parker. Coming from LSU, runs a 10.89 100-meter dash. He's got 2 years remaining. Interestingly, on the LSU boards, this is a huge loss for them. They talked about, because if you look at his stats, Nevada, 30 catches, 310 yards, 4 touchdowns. As a freshman, he had 3 catches for 55 yards. So statistically, when you look at it, it doesn't seem like a huge get until you go watch the film, until you understand that LSU's passing attack wasn't the greatest this year, and until you look at the film and understand how they utilized him. That's the big thing on the LSU boards. They're talking about how he did not get utilized correctly. Several people on there think he is a 5-star talent wide receiver. Comes out of Texas. He played with the good Texas receiver Livingston, I believe his last name. Played with him in high school. So it's weird how all these connections happen in college football. But yeah, it's like, okay, so you lose Porter and Milan Graham. That's what we were freaking out about, Nevada. Two players that had a lot of hopes for their potential. I still think Porter is going to be a great wide receiver, but that's what I think, right? And we bring in two. We brought in Devin McQuinn out of the, lower college football, but was very productive, very speedy. This one here, Nevada, very excited about this one. Speedster. When you watch the film, you see him pull away a lot from people. And Cortez Hankton, wide receiver coach from LSU, seems to be doing his job quite well. Nevada, your thoughts on this one?
Well, yeah, I would echo what you said. I taught my immediate thing that I did is I went to my LSU contacts on this, and they're not happy about losing this guy. So that's the first thing, because generally the reactions will range from um, glad to be rid of him, to indifference, or those few players that are like, oh man, that's a guy we did not want to lose. Well, this falls in the category of guys they did not want to lose. Yeah, I agree. They didn't feel like they utilized him properly. They felt like he was a true field stretcher, and the guy that they were the most concerned about Hankton taking. And so I'm excited about this. And if you told me that I had a chance to get you know you know him and the kid from UTSA,
Devin?
and yeah, and trade them for Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter. You know what? I'm doing the trade. I'm doing the trade, because you have to look at everything right now under the lens of what's going to happen for you next year. You know what I'm saying? Like, because even when people talk about, well, it's good to have a guy with multiple years of eligibility, I'm looking past that, because I think every one of these deals is a 1 year rental. And I'm just looking at it in terms of what helps you win in 2026. Who's going to help you win the most? A guy like this, or an unfinished product, like Porter or Graham. I'm going with these guys. I'm going with guys that have actually played at the college level. It may not always work out, and guys may go on to greatness other places. But I think that we've got to recalibrate the way we evaluate everything now, and in terms of how does it help us next year. And that seems like a crazy way to live, but until they put guide rails on, until they put on restrictions regarding the number of times a guy can transfer, or start enforcing the amount of money that can be paid, or whatever it is, it's 1 year and bust for me. And these two guys help us fill those needs, and really help us be better. And it gives a better chance to win the national championship in 2026. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because this year in recruiting, right, we follow recruiting very closely. And I feel like the only way you would have noticed this difference is if you followed very closely. But the Buckeyes changed up how they even recruited high school players this year, Nevada. They waited. They wanted to see senior evaluations. And I think the Buckeyes finished their class stronger than anybody else in the country. They had a very strong finish. They wanted to see as much film as possible. That was their main goal in high school recruiting. They got some early, but then they waited for more film to get on. Then they made their moves for some big time players like Jay Timmons. Well, you look what they're doing in the portal now. We lose a lot of young players with the production, and we're bringing in these players that have a lot of film, not some more than others, but in a college aspect, right? LSU plays in the SEC, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, we're taking players that have experience in the game. And it's kind of wild because I remember covering the portal last year in Nevada, and I remember Justice Terry. I'll use him as an example. The offensive lineman we got from West Virginia, one of the things that excited me so much about him was the fact that he had 3 years of eligibility left, right? And I'm like, oh, good pickup, Buckeyes. Way to go, right? 3 years of eligibility. Even look at this LSU wide receiver. He's got 2 years of eligibility left, but I debated on whether even writing that down or even saying it out loud, because it's like, I'm not sure how much that even matters anymore. The game is changing, times are changing, and the Buckeyes, right, contrary to what a lot of people think, are adjusting better than 99% of the teams in the country. Everything backs that up, from this portal class to our high school recruiting to what we got going on. I'm going to jump ahead because I can't help it. We still have, you know what? No, I'm not. We're going to talk about what else the Buckeyes are doing in this portal. Then I'm going to bring up the point that that piece of evidence that backs up that the Buckeyes are actually operating ahead of the curve, right? Contrary to what some people might lead you to believe here. But Nevada did a show last night. Got the text from Funky that, hey, probably going to get a big surprise in the portal, right? A big pickup that was unexpected. Get off the show. Boom. Dominic Kelly, cornerback out of Georgia, 6'1", 190 pounds, played 8 games for Georgia as a freshman. In those 8 games, had 2 tackles, 3 pass defenses. He's the number 10 corner in the portal. And of course, the other one, 3 years of eligibility left, whether you care about that or not. The Buckeyes lost Bryce West. They lost Aaron Scott. That made me upset, but everybody freaking out about it. Then you go look at what the Buckeyes have brought in here. Brought in Earl Little, Moore, Calhoun. They just brought in Kelly as well. And similar to the LSU wide receiver, go look at the Georgia boards. Nevada, I'm sure you reached out to some Georgia contacts. What did they have to say about losing Dominic Kelly?
Well, I almost want to add a fourth category. I said we're glad to be gone with him. We don't care, or it really hurt. And then there's one above that, which is really, really, really hurt. And that would be the Dominic Kelly one. Like Georgia guys are apoplectic about losing this guy. They're like guaranteed starter for us, a guy that absolutely big time player. And I for Ohio State, I know their staff was excited about this. They were hinting about this stuff on the board and on social media. And so absolutely massive get for Ohio State. And but let me just I want to talk about something else while we're talking about this stuff, because we're excited about the portal stuff. The biggest gets for Ohio State this entire portal season are guys like Jermaine Matthews and JJ Smith and Julian Sain. And and before anybody gets despondent about what's going on in college football and the changes and stuff, remember there still are kids that are bought in to the dream of being here at Ohio State, and the Austin Seyervelds and the kids that you just don't pay any attention to. Let me tell you, they could have all commanded. Imagine, ask yourself, what could JJ Smith have commanded on the open market if JJ Smith had gone out there, right? Like, so it's there still are kids that are buying into the dream. But let me tell you, Georgia is not pleased about this defensive back acquisition for Ohio State, and they really feel like we stole one here. And again, I go to a kid like this versus Aaron Scott or Bryce West. It's not close for me. I'm just telling you, it's not close. And when you look at our total haul of defensive backs, it's really not close. We've gotten way better defensively for 2026. And again, what it'll be like in 2027, you know what, Dev? I'll worry about that in 2027. Right
Yeah.
now, it's 1 year at a time. We'll kind of do it. And but yeah, that was a long answer to your question, which is I'm super excited about this guy. I think he's a potential superstar for Ohio State.
Now, I mean, you brought up an amazing point. And even for myself, right, you look at some of these players that have eligibility left, and how good they played last year. And the reason why I think, because the overall feeling I get is that everybody that's returned is, I don't see enough. I don't know how to say it. Other than I just don't see enough gratefulness, like as a whole, from Buckeye fans. Things seem to be underrated. Some of these players announcing they're coming back. Some of these players staying, and it's just because that's what we expect. That's what we're used to. We're used to that from Ohio State with the culture that they have there. But the thing we have to realize is, yeah, we're used to it, but college football has changed. It's not that way anymore, regardless of the culture. It's just not that way. Alabama, we took 2 of their starters on the defensive line, literally 2 of their starters. That'd be like if Alabama took Edric Houston and Kenyatta Jackson from us. We took James Smith and Quay Wasall. Like literally. That's what we're dealing with here. So when you look at who the Buckeyes lost and you look around the rest of the nation, and people want to say culture doesn't matter anymore. Yes, it does, because yes, the Buckeyes lost more than they normally do, but they also kept a lot of people that a lot of other teams are losing. Teams are losing starters left and right, man. So I don't buy into that. The culture doesn't matter. There's rumors that the culture's not very good because maybe some parents of former Buckeye players came out and said, "Oh man, it's bad inside the Woody." It's just like you got to be real careful in this portal era who you listen to, because we kept Jeremiah Smith, Julius, Bo Jackson. The list goes on of people that we kept, and we're taking it for granted. Some of us are anyway.
No, no, but Devin, did we lose a starter? I mean, did we lose a guy that was a current? I mean, the closest would be Tegra, right? I mean, that
Yep.
would be
Yep.
I mean, but I mean, like you said, other teams are losing active starters, like guys that started for them this year and would have started for them next year. And so I think, all things considered, as bad as it's been, I agree with you 100%. I think we've come out of this relatively unscathed, and certainly we're certainly a more veteran team, an older team, a more experienced team, and a better team equipped to run for the 2026 national championship now than we were before portal season. And I think that's inarguable.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. The experience brought in the whole 9 yards. And I get that it's sad to lose some of these players. I would agree with that. But what you said, the only starter, who lost his job by the end of the season, was Tegra Shabola. But Nevada, we added a running back, right? Jacoby Jackson from Florida. Scoop had this one about 3 days before the rest of the nation. If you guys went over the Scoop message board, you guys were privy to that information. Go check it out over there. It's a killer board, man. A lot of good information that is on point, especially in the portal. Funky's been on fire. Everybody as a team been on fire. So go check that thing out over there. But Jacoby Jackson, I'm just going to be honest. When we first got him, I wasn't not happy, but I wasn't like ecstatic about it. Like not super super happy. But Jacoby runs a 4.38 40-yard dash. I believe he's going into his 7th year or his 6th year, something like that, of college football. And a lot of people, just because he was injured last year at Florida, but the year before that averaged 5.4 yards per carry. And there's this feeling going around that he resembles CJ Donaldson. And I got curious, right? I live here in Tallahassee. I've met some people here and there, and I actually spoke with a coach from Florida who coached Jacoby Jackson. And what he had to say about him changed my opinion quite a bit. He said the dude has the potential to be a very good back. And that also matches up with what I was told from directly inside the Woody. And that is Coach Locke. This was his number one want when the portal opened. This is who he wanted. This is who he targeted. Even so much so that when Mekhi Frazier made his visit, he told him to wait. Right? You're going to have to wait till Jacoby makes his decision on where he goes. So inside the Woody, they're excited about it. Even the Florida fans I talk to, I get told, I made a post about it on Twitter today, and everybody's like, he's a backup. Relax. I'm not saying he's going to come in here and take Bo Jackson's job. I'm just saying, for those crowd that think Jacoby Jackson is CJ Donaldson-esque, I beg to differ. I strongly beg to differ with you. Yes, everybody has their own opinions. Nobody knows who's right now. We will find out. But I think if Jacoby Jackson stays healthy, that you might want to uptick it above a CJ Donaldson type of back, because he's fast, he's got agility, big bruiser type of goal line type of Quinshon Judkins type of back, man. Yeah, I know that I went and did it. I shouldn't have said Quinshon, but I'm excited about him. I just am. Nevada, your thoughts?
Well, look, first of all, CJ Donaldson, in my opinion, and I was not excited about CJ Donaldson when he came to Ohio State. I just, but I think he found a role. I mean, I think he found a role, and he was a good pass protector. And obviously, the goal line stuff, the 13-14 personnel was kind of a disaster. But I thought he found a way to contribute. But this guy's not C.J. Donaldson, that's for sure. Now, is he James Peoples? Is he Quinshon Judkins or whatever it is? But I mean, he's that explosive type of back where if he's healthy, he can be a guy that you need a pair and a spare at running back. You need a guy that can come in and give you valuable minutes. And Florida had a heck of a running back room a couple years ago, and he was right in the mix with those guys and providing valuable minutes. I mean, he was right there in the rotation. He was as good as any of them. So I'm excited about him. Anybody writing him off as just a backup or he's CJ Donaldson clone or what, I think they're missing the mark on this guy. I think being a backup to Bo Jackson isn't exactly a slight, but I think this guy can give you valuable. He can come in and make things happen for you, and I think he's got the explosion to make guys miss and to take it further. CJ Donaldson never would have had. So I'm definitely excited about Jacoby Jackson for sure.
Yep, no doubt. Buckeyes rolling in the portal, getting the talent that they need. The next thing floating around Nevada, everybody wants to know number one, Matt Patricia, is he coming back? Number two, what's up with the offensive coordinator position? Well, I will tell you, defensive coordinator Matt Patricia, as I reported, I don't know how many, 7 days ago now or whatever it is, he's coming back. And the feeling inside the Woody from people that would 100% know this is that right there, is that he is coming back. I got another phone call today about it because, quite frankly, Nevada, I get nervous reporting those things because nobody else is reporting that. Right? Buckeye Scoop is the only one so far. And, when I have the conversations that I do with the people that I have conversations with, it's no doubt 100% Matt Patricia is back as the defensive coordinator. He's strolling around the Woody like ain't nothing changing, like he's operating as the defensive coordinator, helping bring these players in from the portal, getting plans for them, the whole 9 yards there. So, right, update there, kind of the same where it was, waiting for that official news to come out because obviously what's going on in the NFL, Nevada, unfortunately, you just never know. And I'm not trying to have a way out on this. Don't get me wrong. If he doesn't stay, huge miss by Buckeye boys in Devon. I'll take that one on the chin. But I mean, I can't get any more positive information than I've gotten already. Matt Patricia is staying as a defensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator, my only information I've got is that Ryan Day is going to the NFL in search for an offensive coordinator. He has no desire to promote from within and call the plays himself. That's the only information I've been given. Nevada, any updates there?
Well, first of all, let's stick on the Patricia thing. The Patricia thing is massive news, and I agree with you. We're the only ones that are reporting it, and so if it's right, but Scoop had it first, and if we're wrong, that was the Buckeye boys in Devon, and so you can feel free to now. Like I'm telling, I'm going on record. I think you got this one. I really think you got this because generally I would hear something in the agent community of stuff like that was out there, and I just have not heard anything that would lead me to believe these leaves. I absolutely believe you got this. Everybody that I've talked to believe he's coming back as well. And I think people, everybody's afraid to stick their necks out. We certainly are not. We will stick if we have good information, and that's why we have it first, and that's why you guys tune into this. Patricia coming back, I'll be right there with you, and I'll own that one because I definitely think that's happening. Um, as for the offensive coordinator thing, I agree with you. I have heard since day one that there's no plan for Ryan to continue to call play. That was something that was taken away from him. Under they it was an agreement that he would not be the play caller and he would be more of the CEO type of thing. And look, they won a national championship by bringing in a Chip Kelly. So, the only thing that you can be looking to is who's it going to be, where it's going to be, where's it going to be from. I think that all the openings in the NFL have really kind of delayed or waylaid that process because there are jobs open that we never dreamed would be open. I never dreamed Mike Tomlin would be leaving Pittsburgh. I mean, there's just all so you can just go right down the list. John Harbaugh being fired. So guys are flying all around. There's all sorts of names floating around. I know some other places are reporting that it'll be an internal hire. I have not heard that. I have not heard it, and that would be borderline shocking to me if that were to take case. Would yeah, I never say never in this, but I haven't heard anything that would lead me to believe it's going to be an internal hire. I agree with you. I think it's going to be from the NFL. I wish I had names for you on it. We're digging for that constantly, but as soon as I hear more on that, get. But the Patricia thing coming back, um, I totally I think you got this one nailed, and that's humongous news for 2026.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. At least compared to last year, Buckeyes are doing putting a lot more effort into keeping things under the wrap. As far as, I mean, portal, the players who visit, the information on coaches, they're trying to keep that stuff locked down pretty good. And to be honest with you, the vibe that I am getting is a lot of people are just kind of assuming that they're hiring within because of the length of time that it is taking. And to be honest with you, I eliminate that from my thought. There's nothing about how long it is taking Ryan Day, because I don't see it's not hurting the portal recruiting. All the staff's there, all the position coaches are there. So why would Ryan Day have to rush? What would his rush be here for that to make it? So I think that's the biggest piece of evidence that people have, right? I've spoken with nobody inside, players, whatever you want to say there, that has indicated that somebody from within, but I guess you never know. Nevada, do you think the amount of time it's taking to announce or whatever, announce the decision for the offensive coordinator, do you think that leads interior at all, or is there a rush here at all, or what is it?
To me, I take it exactly the opposite. I think if it was going to be an internal hire, it would have been named. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got the person interior, why would you delay? You just name the person. So I think it follows a narrative that much more aligns with it's coming from the NFL. And from talking to agents in the NFL coaching thing in the right now is just an absolute circus. The things are on, staffs are on fire, guys are either renegotiating or on their way out or looking at new jobs. So there's unprecedented turmoil in the NFL ranks right now, and I think that to me is more consistent with an Ohio State offensive coordinator search that hasn't been filled here in mid to late January, much more so than if it was going to be an internal hire.
Yeah. The last thing I want to bring up here, this will be my third time talking about it, but this last thing I want to bring up, Nevada, I'm glad you're here with me, right, to talk through this here, because I'm actually stunned that this isn't being reported more. I'm stunned that so many people don't know this. I'm stunned I was ignorant to this as long as I was, and it's kind of blowing my mind. So let me see if I can communicate this clearly. But you have teams that are operating in a manner, right, that looks like it's different from the way Ohio State is operating, right? Now, what that is, it's the amount of money that they are spending. And you ask yourself, we've heard Ross Bjork come out and say, hey, the CSC, the College Sports Commission, has put rules in place. Any third party nil deal over $600 has to get reported to the CSC. If you do not report that, the player will be ineligible or your coach will be suspended, right? So they put this in place to try to help organize, cause less chaos with the portal, because everybody is screaming something needs to be done. Well, the NCAA created the CSC, and they have attempted to do that. The problem is they are not up and running yet. No staff to go through and make sure the teams are following these rules. But there's a second problem, Nevada, that is just blowing my mind, that is not being talked about more, and that people just aren't up in arms about a little bit more. And it is this right here. It's that when the CSC, right, came to be, they put out contracts to all these schools, and the CSC is part of the revenue sharing, right? So if you want to be part of the revenue sharing, they put this CSC contract in front of you and say, boom, here it is. Well, you have teams like Ohio State, you have teams like Georgia, you have teams like Alabama that signed it, meaning they are held accountable for those rules, right? They have to do those things. And Ross Bjork came out and said, hey, we're following these rules. We are having integrity with it, right? The wild thing is, the crazy thing is, I've always wondered, well, how in the heck? I understand there's no staff, but still, there's some teams taking big risks here for 2 years down the road. When there is staff, they're going to come back. They're going to get busted for all this stuff. Well, what I did not know was that not every team has signed the CSC agreement. So not every team is even held to those rules because they did not sign the contract. Matter of fact, some teams are going around and trying to promote other teams not to sign this agreement. You'll never guess who two of the teams are that have not signed the CSC agreement, according to the information that I have done, right? And I can't look out and see if this is verified because, like I said, nobody's reporting on this. And it makes me feel like I'm wrong, but I don't believe that I am. But Texas Tech is a school that is not held to these standards, meaning they don't have to turn in any deals over 600. They can do whatever they want. They haven't signed anything. You know the other school in Nevada? Miami. Miami is the other school that has not signed this deal. And you look at things like Darian Mensah, the Duke quarterback, just entered the portal today. He's got an $8 million nil deal signed with Duke, where they essentially have all his NIL rights. And somehow Miami has convinced him to get in the portal, reportedly for a $10 million NIL deal. And it's just like, oh, well, how the heck does something like that get approved? But I really wanted to give your take on this, get your take on this, Nevada. Number one, do you agree with Ohio State in following these guidelines and trying to create less chaos? Because if everybody did it, there would be less chaos and we wouldn't have to hear, man, stop ruining the sport that I love. Um, and also, your take on other teams not signing this and kind of quite literally operating on a completely different set of rules than the rest of the nation.
Well, one, as you said, we don't know exactly the details on this, so we'll everything we'll do will cloak under the category of hypothetical. But do I like Ohio State following the rules? I do. I mean, I do. I think in times like this, there needs to be leadership, and I think Ohio State is the leader of college football right now. And to me, when I hear that a school like Texas Tech in the Big 12 is flaunting the rules, I'm like, you know, hey, that's great. And you may have your moment of glory now, which I don't know. They got unceremoniously run in the playoffs during the first one. So a lot of good that it did them. But I think the future of this is the super conferences. I think it's, the Big Ten and the SEC, 48, 24 and 24, 48 schools competing for the national championship. And if you're a school like Texas Tech that has flaunted the rules in the past, that has kind of thumbed their nose at this stuff, maybe you get left out. Maybe you don't get invited to the party. And so for me, I think I think it's imperative that Ohio State take a leadership position on this stuff. I look at where we are in the football. Do I feel like we are being disadvantaged by this, or that we haven't been able to accumulate talent? I think we have the most talented team in college football heading into 2026. I think we'll be the preseason number one. And so, for all the hand wringing and for all the skirting of the rules and buying this quarterback and buying that guy and doing this, we're right where we should be, and we're doing it the right way. And does that make me feel good? But it's not just about feeling good. It's about, do I think that's important for college football? I think it's important for college football for the leaders and the best to be the one that leads, that follows the rules and does it the right way, because there eventually will be rules in play. I promise you that will be the case. I know people just think it's going to be the Wild West forever, and it's not. We're going through a market interruption right now, and when that happens, it seems like it's never going to get fixed. Things are never going to. There's always going to be chaos, and it's never. That's not the way the world works. It's going to calm down. There's going to be guide rails. There'll either be a collective bargaining agreement made, with the players, as they unionize, or there'll be limited antitrust exemption granted to college football. But either way, you're going to get some guide rails, and when you do, you're not going to want to be the one that was coloring outside the line for all these years. So I like Ohio State's position on it. I don't think we're being disadvantaged by it. I think we're continuing to chug along. So for me, I like what we're doing, and I like the way that we're doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that you can see it's. I don't think it's a question whether some teams are following different guidelines than other, right, Nevada? We don't question that. We know, right? Is it obvious? Would you agree with that? Some teams are following different guidelines than other teams. Sorry, he didn't expect me to ask him a question. He's looking for the unmute button.
I was looking for the unmute. I'm like, where's the unmute button? No, So what was the exact question? The question is, do I think that
So
people are following different rules?
yeah,
Yes, people are following.
isn't it pretty obvious?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that people are following different rules, but not so much the case that I think that they've been able to skirt the rules to realize a significant competitive advantage over the Buckeyes. Because frankly, the only team that I care about is Ohio State football, and then everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And so if we're to the point where I feel like Ohio State football is falling behind because of rules followed or rules skirted or whatever it is, then I'll be the first one yelling. But I think we've been able to navigate this pretty well so far. So yes, but I do think people are playing by different rules for sure.
Yeah, and that's the point I wanted to make is that you see teams like Texas Tech and Miami just kind of operating differently with how they do things. And you see a lot of fans calling for Ohio State to operate in that manner. Yet somehow Ohio State has the number 3 portal high school class combined, number 3 in the nation, right? And at the beginning of this, we talked about you saw people saying we're getting left behind. All these things are going to happen. I get where the fear came from. I understand that, but like we've been saying, like we've been telling you the whole time, you have to be patient. Let this coaching staff cook. Let them do what they're doing because they want to win just as bad, if not more, than we do. That's not. Do you think Ryan Day and all this coaching staff would put up with what they put up with if they weren't competitive and didn't want to win football? These guys want to win. And I think they're doing a phenomenal job at it. And Nevada, I'm 100% on board with you. I think the most talented team coming into this 2026 season. And I'm excited to watch what these Buckeyes do. Ready for some offensive coordinator to get hired. Ready to see if the Buckeyes make another big splash in the portal because they're pulling out all the stops, man. They are not afraid to go chasing some players. But midnight tonight, we'll know everybody that's officially in the portal.
Well, but you remember you've got Indiana and Miami that are going to
Yep.
be there's and so let me just reiterate this for everybody, maybe people that have listened to this. Every team is being affected by this. I know you're as an Ohio State fan, you feel like it's just Ohio State. Everybody is losing players. 30% of the players in college football are in the portal. So every team is going through the exact same things. It's just a question of who you're adding. And as you said, Ohio State's got the adjusted number 2 class or number 3 recruiting class or number
3.
2. So I mean we're right there with the best of the best in terms of doing it. And just any objective measure, you just look at what we lost relative to what we gained, and just look at that and say, are we better off now to make a run at 2026 than we were beyond? I think it's the answer is unquestionably yes.
Yeah, we lost 32 to the portal, picked up 16 out of the portal, bringing in a 28-man class. Also, the new roster limit at 105 now, so that has changed some things. So Buckeyes are in a real good spot, man, and excited to get this thing going. Let's dive into these super chats. Nevada, do you have anything else before we dive into these super chats?
No, I just want to say, Dev, I'm proud of you and I'm proud of the site for the way that we've kind of navigated through this. We've been preaching optimism and that we'd figure this out. And there were a lot of other places that just literally like lost their minds during this. And I'd be embarrassed listening to some of these podcasts where these people were literally like sobbing on the air about Ohio State. And, we need to march on Ross Bjork's office and, the sad panda and we're being left behind. And those guys should be embarrassed, but I'm proud of you for the way that we handle this. And that was good stuff.
Yeah, dude, I'm thrilled to have this opportunity in Nevada. It's awesome being a part of this with you and Funky and B and great people. I've learned a lot, man. I've kind of before, right, when I started watching Scoop, right, because I used to be a moderator in the chat. Pretty wild story. I should tell it one day, but I was that fan, Nevada. I was that fan that would flip out. And I know you still see glimpses of it. You're in the group chat. You see my responses sometimes. But seriously, listening to you, listen to other people on the board, have this approach of patience. The Block O is bigger than all of this craziness you got going on. It's just the facts. I mean, it's just the truth. It is. I mean, look what we're at now. I think almost everybody would say we're better off now than right, where we were if we would have kept all those 32 players. Would you rather have all the 32 players we lost or all 16 portal pickups? Chat, what would you rather have? All 32 back that we lost, and you can't have any of the 16, or all 16 that we picked up? Do you like the trade? Do you think we're better off? But yeah, Nevada.
Yeah, it's not close. And frankly, the only thing that could have made us better for 2026 would have been if we could have convinced some of those guys not to go to the NFL. But that was always going to happen, and that was independent of this. But I'm glad the guys we got back, the Kenyatta Jacksons and the Jermaine Matthews and the Carson Hinsmans, the guys that might have been kind of the Austin Sirevels, guys that might have been on the fence to get those guys back, enormous for 2026.
Yeah, no doubt. See, a lot of people in the chat are agreeing as well. The 16 that we got. I mean, yeah, if we want to win next year, it's the 16. Is Fahim Delane going to be a star one day at LSU? Probably. Is he going to be a star next year? It's 50-50, man. Is Earl Little Jr. and Terry Moore going to be productive next year? It's a 90% chance that they will be very productive next year. But dive into these super chats, chat. Steely, thank you so much for the $1.99, brother. Welcome back, Nova Scotia Buck. Who's he talking about? Who's Nova Scotia Buck?
Yeah, no, I'm still up in Nova Scotia right now.
Oh yeah.
The we've got the semifinals for the Worlds are tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock Nova Scotia time. There'll be 3 p.m. If anybody's watching, you want something to watch at 3 p.m. Eastern on the NHL Network. It's watch Team USA. We're playing Sweden tomorrow, and you can root on baby girl Nevada Buck and the USA team, and hopefully they continue on. And then the gold medal game is Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and that's going to be against Canada if we get there for the gold. So that's going to be wild.
3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the NHL Network, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
If you are watching this show, you better be there. We got to do that. My main concern I have now is how to interview the record-breaking hockey player, your daughter. So I'll talk to you about that. See if we can't get a star on the show. We like interviewing stars. I doubt it happens, but we'll give it a try. Ernie, thanks for the $1.99, brother. You're always supporting, dude. We appreciate it a lot. Does the portal reset how much freshmen get paid? Interesting topic, Nevada. I'll let you take this one first.
It's a great question, and that's a deep question, man. That's a 4-dimensional chess question because the way that I'm reading it is, how much can you afford to pay freshmen when you're not sure if they're going to be there when they're sophomores, and likely to portal if 30 or 40% of them are going to portal out. So how much do you get? I think what you're going to do is you're going to pick 5 or 6 or 7 guys that you really got to go after, and I think the rest is going to be minimal. I mean, I don't know how else it can work, because I don't think, Ernie, that you can pay everybody top dollar to get them, knowing that unless they're ready to produce day one. I think these things just become more about who can make an immediate impact. A JJ Smith can make an immediate impact. A Chris Henry Jr. can make an immediate impact. But for somebody else, are you paying that? I don't think you are. So I think that's a great question, and I agree with you. I think we could go about that, but I think that stuff's going to change. I think it definitely changes the standard for freshmen, because I don't see how you can afford to spend that type of money on them.
Yeah, great question, Ernie, and 100%. This, in my opinion, changes how much freshmen get paid. But interestingly enough, I'm at maybe a little bit different area, because I'm not quite so sure it changes Ohio State's way of recruiting out of the high school all that much, to be honest with you, because Nevada, they've never been top payers of high school players, maybe the top end guys. But I think this is going to affect more the middle players very much. But the information I have is that they've never been, right? They definitely get paid, but they've never been that team to go out and overpay for a middle of the pack type of player in our class, like a lot of these other guys. I'm sure there'll be some adjustments, but it's almost like Ohio State's going to be ahead of the curve with where college football is going. And it's almost like they've been prepared for this and ready for this to happen, contrary to popular belief. Several different opinions. We could talk about this for hours and hours and hours, but that's just my take. I don't think Ohio State's, I don't think the way that they do recruiting, how they recruited high school recruiting this year is exactly how I think they're going to recruit them next year. I don't think anything's changing, but that's just me. And it's specifically because how Ohio State addresses high school recruiting. I think a lot of the teams around the country are going to be changing the ways they do things. But yeah. Um, De Niro, thank you so much for the 4.99. What defensive unit could be better for us than last year? And who will our defense vocal leaders be that others lean on the team? Nevada, what defensive unit could be better than last year? Dang, I'm glad I having you answer this first.
Well, I'd rather I'll go to the second part. Who will be our D vocal leaders? I mean, your D vocal leaders next year, are going to be your guys. Your Jermaine Matthews, who never shuts up. So he'll definitely be one of your vocal leaders. And Kenyatta Jackson, definitely another guy who'll be certainly a holler guy. I'd like to see Edric Houston step in that role. Not sure, if he will, but I'd say Jermaine Matthews and Kenyatta. So those were two very, very big returns and guys that certainly could have pursued either NFL riches or going through the transfer portal and would have gotten big, big money, but Ohio State got them back. So I'll go with those two. I'll defer to you on the first part.
Let me add a name to that. I think Peyton Pierce is going to step up this year as well as another vocal leader in the room. He's got the head for it. James Laurinaitis has been training him up for this very year right here. I mean, he's literally has. So we'll add his name into that bucket. And boy, what defensive unit could be better for us than last year? If you're going to make me answer, let me say corner, right? We're losing Iggy, okay, and Lorenzo Styles to the NFL as well. But look at the talent that we brought in. I think our secondary this year, specifically the corner, I mean, Devin Sanchez coming into his second year, Jermaine Matthews coming into his money year, Earl Little possibly at nickel, Jay Timmons coming in. We got Dominic. So definitely, I think it's going to end up deeper than it was this year. And that's wild to say considering we lost two, Bryce West and Aaron Scott, in the portal. But listen, you asked me this question on the fly. The other thing I will add to that is, could one say that our defensive line is going to be deeper this year now? I don't know. That's another tough one. Nevada, what you think about what I just said?
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and it's crazy to think that when you talk about a defensive secondary improving when you lose a Caleb Downs, but I think that's probably the only answer compared to the other because you're not going to get better at linebacker. That defensive line, I think you certainly can make an argument for it. It just, it's hard to lose a guy. I don't know if we've replaced the monster on the zero technique, and but other than that, again, you're adding two guys from Alabama that have provided value. I do think we might be deeper. I do think we might be deeper on the defensive line, but I agree. I think it's the defensive backfield that certainly could marginally improve.
Yeah, I love it. You got a couple freshmen coming in well as Jordan Thomas, who I think can also add some more depth to that room. Steely, thanks for the $1.99 again, brother. You've been killing it with the super chats here lately. Much love, brother. Shout out, Scoop ladies. You all know football. Yeah, you darn right. That's the cool thing about listening to the Scoop, hanging around people like Nevada, B. Moses, and Funky. You learn a thing or two. I have most certainly learned a lot. That's what I love about doing this show, man, is I want to be a smarter, better football fan. I don't want to be just your yell at the TV, emotion filled, right? I want to be able to state facts about why I think something. I want to be able to state facts about my feelings. That's just the type of person I am. And, you know, hopefully I add a little bit of giving some information as well, but I learned things from the chat too. Nevada?
Well, yeah, and I think that's why it's important too that we have a PG chat. Every other word isn't blank this or blank that or curse word there. We want to have women be comfortable listening to the show. We want to have kids be comfortable listening to the show because we want it to be a family show. And I agree with you. Our goal is to make you guys smarter, better fans that aren't just going out there and being the least common denominator and just like you said, just yelling at the moon. We want to fill you with facts and we'll tell you what's going on and you guys can make your own judgments. But we got a very, very smart group of people here, but we're really excited about our ladies and the kids that listen to the show because we like it to be a family show and we're proud of that.
I got a couple more super chats, but I want to remind you guys 1,500 of you in here. Hit that like button for us. Hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already. That helps us out a lot more than what you know. Will the Thrill, thanks for the $4.99. Number 3, combined ranking between the portal and recruiting. Believe Scoop when they tell you to chill. If you smell what the Scoop is cooking. Nevada OH.
I
Yeah. Like we said in the show, number 3 combined. Ohio State's talent acquisition strategy is working. And they're not done yet. By the way, portal closes at midnight tonight. That is only for players to enter the portal. And as Nevada stated earlier, that does not include Miami and Indiana. They have, I believe, 3 or 5 days after the game to enter the portal. But but poor Miami, they're at a little bit of a disadvantage. Can't tell with Indiana, they're killing it in the portal. But they also had the 30th ranked recruiting class. But anyway, yeah. So Ohio State just fine. Nevada, what you got to add to that?
Well, yeah, no, it's we'll tell you if things are bad, if things are amiss, if things are wrong, if things are askew. I promise you, Scoop will have it first. But yeah, we told you to chill and hope we've been validated on that. We're a better team, unquestionably, for having gone through this portal experience. Weeded out some of the guys, freed up some salary, spent it on 16 guys that can really help us in 2026, and that's the name of the game for college football today.
Yeah, no doubt. Jen Harris, thank you so much for the $5. Just wanted to send the super chat. Keep up the good work. Hey, appreciate you. $5 goes a long way with super chats. Goes to the Pay It Forward Fund to help out veterans. Uh, just in the just in our group chat the other day, we got a veterans email address and in the process of hooking them up right now. Nevada, anything to add to that?
No, we appreciate just all of our great members here and just all your generosity, your great questions. This show's nothing without the questions. If we don't have questions, this is just Devin and I shouting at each other. And I love this. The questions is my favorite part of the show. So just thank you so much for taking your time and dialing up a question. And so glad you're here.
Oh yeah, the chat makes the show for sure. I had a awesome show last night in Nevada. They had like 28 super chats and put the link in the chat. Had some people from the chat on. Got to meet a couple of them. So yeah, without you guys, there's no show. Without you guys, it's just our text thread back and forth. So Johnny, thanks for the $4.99. Show Tanker 61 degrees Fahrenheit in Key West. We're freezing. Yeah, I feel you. It's cold here in Tallahassee too. It's like 58 today. Bucks will be good next year. Don't worry. Here is Tinker. She's becoming almost as popular as Cujo. Nevada, do you remember who Cujo was?
I do remember Cujo the raccoon, and
Yeah.
yeah, Tinker is definitely nothing better than dogs. I've been thinking lately,
Nope.
and it's all kidding aside, that I may do like a senior dog sanctuary or something like that for senior dog. I'm serious because I feel really bad about the seniors, and I know the puppies always you know get adopted, but the seniors, man, I feel bad for the seniors, and I have the seniors at home, but I think I'm gonna get more because I love those senior dogs.
Yeah. I have a serious soft spot for all animals, but especially dogs. This is alleged, but one could say allegedly, I've been in trouble with law enforcement a couple times over dogs, people mistreating dogs and stuff. I bleep out, I can't handle it. As you can tell, this little angel is as spoiled as all get out. But she looks at me, I just crumble. I try to tell her no, doesn't work. I'm not a good dad. I'm not a good dad. All right,
Weak,
Sean.
weak.
Yeah. Just weak, man.
Just
You're
weak,
an
just weak.
age. Whooper. Sean, thanks for the $5. All indications were OSU is ready to go all in for the Desire twins. They should take that money they were willing to spend and go get Damon Wilson. Yeah, I mean that was a rumor floating around that they were ready to go all in. The only thing I got confirmed with that was that there was interest there. I don't know about this all in thing, but Nevada, I don't know if you saw it or not. There's a little nugget on the board today, even after our commitments, that keep an eye on the Buckeyes because they're still working hard to see what other players enter the portal after the Miami Indiana game, what players are going to enter there, and they're ready to pull the trigger on more players if they think they'll help us win a natty next year. So Buckeyes are locked and loaded, man.
Well, yeah, just don't forget, just because the portal, closes tomorrow, that doesn't mean that portal season's over. It just means that no more guys can enter the portal, but there's going to be negotiations going on for months. So, yeah, Ohio State is absolutely a buyer, looking to improve the team. And I would bet my bottom dollar that they're not done yet in the portal season, and probably not by a long shot. I think that there'll be several more portal ads before the time we're done.
Yep, I agree. Steely, thanks for the $1.99 again. Good question. Who gets the Blocko this year? Ooh, Nevada, I had to answer which defensive unit's going to be better first. So you have to answer this one first.
I'm going to go
Is that fair?
Kenyatta. I think it's Kenyatta.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's let's see. It's got to be between Kenyatta and Jermaine. I mean, but I don't see it being Jermaine. I think it's going to end up being Kenyatta, Jackson as well. So we'll see. But there we go, folks. Got another one. Pinky, what's good, Pinky? Thanks for the $4.99, dude. It will be Sub-Zero Monday, and here in Northwest Ohio, 58 is sweatshirt weather. Yeah, I was talking to one of my customers today. I'm from Ohio, but I'm just not acclimated to the cold anymore. I know, Nevada called me a sissy earlier, and the only reason it hurt is because it's kind of true. I'm a little bit of a sissy anymore. So, but you guys ever seen a sissy drive a ball 300 yards? Huh?
No,
Huh?
nope. 350.
Yeah, 350.
Now, let me tell you what, being up here in Nova Scotia, I don't know how everybody up here in Nova Scotia doesn't have a drinking problem or something like that. Because this place, I mean, it is just like, it's like, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just always gray and cold, and it's bad, man. So yeah, wherever you are, I guarantee you, it's not as bad as where I am right now. Because this place is it's a depressing place, and I've been here for 11 days now, and I'm ready to get home, man. I'm ready to get out of here. Let's go
Yeah.
get the gold. Sunday night is either going to be the greatest night of my kid's life or the absolute worst, and there's no third option. So it's yeah. So yeah, I know it's terrible to I'm nervous already thinking about it. So go USA.
Yeah. It is wild what weather does. I mean, that's why I'll never live in Ohio again, is because the weather. I mean, when there, it gets winter. And last year when I was in the Oregon Mountains, Nevada, I was with a friend, and I told her, I was like, this is phenomenal. This is great to be here for a week, but I could not live here. I mean, it was gray and rainy and cold all day, all the time. I was like, I just can't. I couldn't do it, man. Like I'm getting soft. But yeah, weather affects my mood big time. So, the Oregon Mountains aren't Nova Scotia, but I feel what you're talking about, though. You know.
Yeah, wind was whipping here today like 50, 60 miles an hour, and so I mean, literally, it was like blowing the car. Like you're sitting at a stoplight, and the car is like rocking as the wind's whipping you. So it's like,
Whew.
yeah, bad, 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 bad.
Yeah, yeah, that's wild. All right, chat. We appreciate you guys, right? Still in the portal. Portal closes tonight. Buckeyes still doing work. Wait for the official announcement that announces Matt Patricia is returning. Keep you updated on the offensive coordinator search under Ryan Day. See who he reaches out to. Hopefully, get you a couple names here shortly. but it's getting that time. We can start looking at our roster for next year, look at who we got at what position, start getting excited about it. We'll continue to update you here on Scoop. And like I said, appreciate the support, Nevada. Any final thoughts for Buckeye Nation or to the anti-sunshine pumpers?
No, we've had a phenomenal portal run, and we're not done. So stay tuned. More to come.
Yeah, Cincy Kid, Jesus saved Dev. He absolutely did. Guys, I appreciate you guys. On that note, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
IO.